Welcome back to Color Class. I'm Sarah.
I'm Lucinda.
And today we're going over the 16 palette system. It is here.
Well, yeah. Actually, we're kind of working our way up to the 16 palette system. We're not just like jumping off into the 16 palette system. Something that I always say is that the systems, the four seasons, the 6 dominant characteristics, the 12 palette system, etc., we need to stop calling those systems. Let's just say right here and now, we're going to stop calling them systems.
But we need a new name.
Tools. We're going to start calling them tools. Each one of those has an inherent piece of information to give us when we work through it. When Sarah and I do a color analysis, we start with the 4 seasons. We move through the 6 dominant characteristics into the 12 palette system. And if someone does not fit in the 12 palette system, then we jump off into the 16 palette.
We jump off.
Yes, we jump right into it. So first of all, let's do that with this little tutorial. Let's start with a 4 palette system. Yeah.
Okay.
So the 4 palette system, for those of you who haven't been with us for months, is 4 systems identified as winter, spring, summer, autumn. And it's if you're looking at somebody's characteristics, if they're light and warm, they would be a spring. If they're light and cool, they would be a summer, like me. If they're deep and warm, they would be an autumn, like Sarah. And if they're deep and cool, they would be a winter. So you think about this and you think about all the people in the world. And the whole 4 seasons method assumes that everybody in the whole world can be put into one of those buckets.
I guess when we say we are one of those things, we're not really. We don't fit perfectly into the bucket.
We don't. We lean that direction. That's why we use that as step 1. Think of it as a board game.
We fake it till we make it.
Yeah. Think of it as a board game. You take step 1, step 2, step 3, and finally you win the whole thing. So step 1 is you kind of figure out in the 4 seasons where you are kind of leaning, where you kind of fit. Maybe you don't kind of fit at all, but we go through that process. Then we look at the 6 dominant characteristics as it relates to you.
Right.
Are you light or are you deep?
Oh, we have to do it backwards. Light, deep.
Warm, cool. Soft, clear. Are you one of those? And by dominant, that's the word, because somebody might say, well, I'm kind of clear, but I'm also cool. But yeah, of course you are. You are all those things. But of all those things, which one really defines you visually? And usually we can come up with that. And if we can't, we put you in soft, because that means you're kind of an amalgam of all those things. Still, you fit. So once we get the dominant characteristic, then we think about, well, we said you were a summer, and we looked at your dominant characteristics, and you know what? You are really, really soft. You're not in the summer, in the world of the 12 palette system. A summer can be cool, they can be soft, or they can be light. And we look at that and we're like, cool, soft, or light. You are really, really soft. Winter, they can be cool, they can be clear, or they can be deep. Same kind of things, only on the opposite end of the spectrum.
To the deeper side.
Correct. With an autumn, that person can be soft, they can be warm, or they can be deep. Right? And with what did I leave out?
Summer. Spring.
Spring. With a spring, you can be clear or bright. You can be warm, or you can be light. And so that, if you do the math, that's 12 sub-seasons or subsets of a season.
When you said clear and bright, that's 1, by the way.
Correct.
I didn't want you to think it was 4.
Correct. Thank goodness. You know what? I'm her mom, and she does what every daughter needs to do for her mom, and that is she just keeps me straight. And thank you so much.
Either
I love
I
it.
do it or the internet does it. So
Well,
or it's me post-production editing out.
no. I appreciate it. So, all of you out there who doesn't have a daughter who keeps you straight, I am sorry. You just subscribe to us, and Sarah will do it for you.
I
too.
got you.
She will. She'll do it for you. Because I'm kind of like all over the place. I'm the artist. I paint. And so I, and I'm like a color nerd. And so I'm all over the place, as you can tell by me talking to you right now. I'm just like, ah. So that's
she
my
likes
thing.
to compare herself to Albert Einstein, by the way.
No, not in that way. Kind of in the hair and the desk attitude.
And yes, apparently Albert Einstein's desk was like ridiculous, crazy with piles of papers and
Yes.
stuff everywhere. Absolutely, 100%. So
That's me.
Albert Einstein over here.
But without the genius, without the math brain.
You're just a color genius.
Thank you.
Maybe not mathematics.
Yeah, the mathematics, not so much. But do you know what Albert said about messy desks? He says, if messy desks are a sign of a cluttered mind, what are clean, organized desks a sign of? An empty mind? Mm-hmm. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't, I'm not saying, I'm not judging, whatever. I'm just trying. I'm going to get back to the topic at hand. Thank you.
My clean house.
She does have she keeps a spotless house. And I am lucky enough to have a room in this house. I have my own house, which is not spotless at all. But I have a room in this spotless house that reflects my home. Mm-hmm. Back to this color lecture at hand. So I've gotten us to 12 sub palettes.
Right.
But you know what? Everybody doesn't fit into those 12 either. Mm-mm. We've determined that that's not even possible.
Well, the 16 palette system wouldn't have been created if everyone fit into the 12.
Exactly. So the 16 palette system adds...
tool. 16 palette
tool. Thank
tool.
you, Sarah. See, keeping me straight again.
I'm still messing it up, but...
And I really appreciate it. The 16 palette tool adds yet another subcategory. Now, these subcategories, admittedly, they are rare. So for a winter, it adds a subcategory. We've already been through cool winter. So if you have dark brown or black hair with zero red or gold in it, if you have coolness, your skin is cool, your eyes are cool, that has made you a winter. And then you look at the subcategories, you might be very high contrast with pale blue eyes and really black hair, or you might be deeper with deep black hair and deep skin tone, deep brown eyes, also a winter, or you might be really cool. Your skin tone might have shifted really cool. Of course, your hair, if it's black, that's really cool. So we might be able to identify you as cool. But what if you're an amalgam of those things? What if you're a mixture? What if you're not quite any one of those things? Then you fit into a category that I personally love because I fit into this category. It is soft. Mm-hmm. In your case, you would be a soft winter.
I know earlier you said it was very rare to be one of these 4 added palettes that we have. But I will say, soft winter is not as rare as you think. There are a lot of you out there, okay? I know it sounds crazy, but if you are just, the bright, clear colors are just too intense for you, the deep colors are just a little too dark for you, and those all over cool colors, there's just something missing. A little bit too heavy with those, or bright, clear, you probably fall into the soft. You probably don't have the jet black hair. You have like a softer black hair, like a deeper charcoal color. There is softness to you, and that's where the soft winter falls in. And that's where a lot of people find a home.
A color home.
Yeah. Similarly
to winter, your subcategories are warm spring, which is the opposite of cool, obviously. And that basically is if you're light and you're warm, but you're really warm. I mean, everything is warm. Your skin tone, your golden blonde hair, your eyes are green. Warm spring. If you could be a light spring where everything is just light, your hair, your golden your warm hair is super, super light. Your skin tone, super, super light. Your eye color, super, super light. That makes you a light spring, changes your palette a little bit. And then the clear spring is someone who has a lot of brightness. It could be substituted. You could be called a bright spring, where any of the colors in the spring palette, they have to be bright, intense colors. That makes you a bright spring. But what if, like we talked about the winter, what if you're not warm enough to be a warm spring? You're not quite light enough to be a light spring. You don't really have the contrast at all to be a clear spring. In fact, what if your contrast is kind of little, if you're not contrasting? Right. Or what if you're a blend of all three in a way that you can't really say one or the other? Then you could be a soft spring. We have a member on Patreon that I just love, and she gives us really great questions. And she sent me her picture, and she said, "My mom's a spring, and she is a full-on spring. She's absolutely a spring, but I am not. Next to her, I look drab." And she, she's got all these spring characteristics, but I'm warm and light, as you see, but I'm not warm enough to be warm. I'm not light enough to be light spring. I'm not clear at all. She's a soft spring. She's a beautiful soft spring, where her warm hair is not terribly far off from her skin tone, and her eyes are kind of a soft color. And she was so thrilled when we told her that. She was like, "I never knew. I didn't think I fit anywhere."
I feel like the 16 palette system isn't talked about a lot. So when we do find people and, they're questioning the 12 palette system of, I still don't understand where I fit in. And we reveal that there's 4 more palettes available.
Like, hallelujah. Really. And she was so sweet. And now, she's rocking her soft spring, and she's great.
Right. And we've talked about winter and spring. Now, both of those, they're sister seasons because of the contrast, the high contrast, the brightness. There. Yes. Now, if you see, both of them got added with a soft characteristic. So the winter got the soft winter, the spring got the soft spring. Yes. Now we're flipping over to the softer seasons. So I wonder what that 4th palette descriptor is going to be.
Subcategory?
Yes, the subcategory. What is that 4th
subcategory? Well, let's look at the subcategories of, say, summer. Generally, you're going to have light, you're going to have soft, or you might have cool. But what if you look like me? I'm not really that light.
No. And the back of your hair is actually really dark.
Correct. Well, so darkish. Remember, that's a kind of a descriptor for a summer. If your hair is grayish. So because I'm kind of a blend of all these, I'm a soft summer. And that's part of the nomenclature for the 12 palette system. But what if I wasn't? What if I was really bold? What if my eyes were intense and maybe my skin tone was intensely what if I had a lot of contrast rather than, what if I was the opposite of me?
You didn't have, you never went in the sun. You would have a lot brighter of a skin tone because it wouldn't be as warm.
What if my hair never grayed to this degree? What if I had, then I would be a clear summer, which means that I could pull off brighter summer colors, not spring colors and not winter colors, but it just moves me a little bit around the color wheel so that I can pull off something that's not quite as soft as I'm wearing now. That's a little more intense. And remember, these are tiny little adjustments. I've been watching this TV show. Don't ask me why. It's called Mayday or something, and it's all about plane crashes. And I don't know.
I'm really interested to see how you're going to.
All right. No, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. These giant planes carrying all of these precious lives, they go up in the air and they fly here and there, and it's happening all the time. But one little adjustment can make that plane fall out of the air. And all I'm trying to say is a little adjustment in your color palette can be the difference between you lighting up a room and just looking like stop looking at me like that, daughter, looking like you're lit from within.
I hope you're not traveling anytime soon.
That wasn't the point. I was trying to make the importance of little adjustments. Think about where we've gotten. Where do we start? That everybody in the whole world could be divided into 4 color groups. Now, what if that were an airplane? Yeah, just throw on the part and let's see if it flies. No, we don't do that. We have more tools. We move through a group of important tools to get you to a perfect palette. And with our clients, we go even further. We go way past the 16 dominant characteristics so that every single client has 5 eye enhancer shades, 5 hair enhancer shades, 5 skin tone enhancer shades. So it brings precision to color analysis. Precision, color precision. And that's what makes all the difference. Now, I have one more category to talk about, and it happens to be her season. Now, she's in autumn. Typically, autumns you can have a soft autumn,
yep, like
her. Mm-hmm. You can have a warm autumn, like give me a person. Beyonce.
Vibrant red hair. Warm skin tone.
Yeah, basically everything warm. You know, just lots. Everything. Eye color is warm. Warm brown, amber, green. Skin tone warm. Hair really warm. Mm-hmm. So that would be a warm autumn. And so we go soft, warm, and then we have people like Eva Mendes. Deep warm hair, deep eye color, and that defines her. That's a dominant characteristic that kind of gives us where her colors should be. But what if, since autumn is kind of a soft palette anyway and everything kind of blends together, what if you've got somebody with deep red hair, palest of pale green eyes, pale skin tone? If they were winter, if they weren't warm, we would call them clear.
Right.
But when they get warm and they're pushed over in the autumn palette, we're still going to call them clear.
Right. And they're not light enough to be a spring either.
Yeah, the hair is too deep. It's too much. It's autumn. So when they've got that contrast, what we do is we look at the different palettes under that autumn, that grouping, the soft, the deep, the warm, and in this case, the clear, and we just tweak it over so that their colors have more clarity and purity than the other colors in autumn. So again, that's how we make the airplane fly. Just little adjustment. Go with me on this. Just go with me on this. Stop it.
We're going to have so many comments about the airplane.
You just stop it. Like I said, she keeps me straight. My daughter keeps me straight, so thank you. But I'm trying to just make a point here that these little adjustments matter. Okay, I'm going to change the analogy. I'm going to talk about baking a cake. I don't cook.
All right, baking a cake.
She's a great cook. So I'm just going to say, when you bake a cake, you put all the ingredients in, and there's precision there. And when you get something wrong, when you throw in sugar or salt instead of sugar, or when you put too much of something or too little of something, the cake doesn't rise. There I get into the aeronautical.
Yes.
The cake doesn't rise.
I think we understand
the cake tastes terrible, whatever. Precision matters, and it matters in color. So we're here. Our job is to teach you these tools, sometimes rules, on what makes color work, because you're adding together You're adding together two things. You're adding together the person who is your masterpiece, and then you're having to clothe them. You're having to dress them in colors and attire that absolutely fits this masterpiece that you are. And when you have to put these two things together, you have to make sure, like that airplane, that the parts fit.
Now, I do want to mention, because one thing we don't talk about often is there are different names for, like, we call it clear. A lot of people use like vibrant, bright, true. There are a whole lot of different names for one particular palette. So you might hear things interchanged. Like, I know sometimes it can be like a true.
Let me just say, this is a pet peeve of mine. May I?
Yeah.
May I deal with a pet peeve? Practically in every video, I do a pet peeve.
We need to have a pet peeve segment.
Maybe a once a month pet peeve video. A pet peeve of mine is when you use something like the word true, which isn't a descriptor of the palette. So let's talk about autumn. So you have the deep autumn, you have the warm autumn, you have the soft autumn, and then all of a sudden you have a true autumn. What does that mean? What does that tell you about that color palette and where it's moving on the scale between light to deep to warm to cool to clear to soft? What does true tell you about any of that?
That's why for our terms, we use the 6 dominant characteristics and build off of that. So that's why you hear us talk about clear, soft, warm, cool, light, and deep, because we're building off of that 6 palette system into the 16. So, and
past and beyond, because there are bright palettes that don't swing either way to warm and cool. There are neutral palettes that aren't necessarily bright. Girl,
we have to get into neutrals.
We will. Just stick with us. We will move that way.
We did a browns video, like warm versus cool browns and the neutral browns. And everyone was like, what if my hair is neutral brown? What if my skin tone's neutral? And it's like...
Yeah, and Sarah can speak to that because her skin tone is just right on neutral. Now, just to tell you here, we'll do a whole neutral video, but neutral sometimes means soft, so don't get nervous.
Yes.
But sometimes neutral means neutral. And we're here to help you identify that and know what to do with it. But first, you know what you have to do? You have to learn all of our tools and our rules, and you have to hit the subscribe button so you're here for future classes that further hone this.
Yes. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, share. All of those things helps us out here on YouTube. Now that we are starting to get more followers and we're hitting our, 10K we just did?
10K goal.
So how exciting is that? We cannot believe you guys are amazing. All of the support over on Patreon. When we started Patreon, I don't think, we wanted to create a place where we could go and just chat with people who are really excited about color analysis. But the support... it's unbelievable.
And you know what? Personally, more than anything else, I wanted a community where people who love color could know each other.
Right.
Because what is greater than having a passion and knowing somebody else who has the same passion? And these people over on Patreon, I call them our Patreon family. You are so passionate. And, Sarah makes fun of me about the airplane analogy and precision. And we've got folks asking us questions that we never even thought of, and we think about this. We did a color analysis on someone and we worked and we got it perfect. And we were using the eyedroppers and the sliders and making sure everything was exactly right. And she looked at it and she goes, yeah, but I live in Florida.
Yeah.
She was a deep winter. And so what now? We look at geography with every single color analysis because it matters. Because that's how the plane gets up in the air.
Oh, God. If you want our plane to get up in the air, like, comments, share, subscribe.
Yeah.
All right. So you can also find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We talked about Patreon. If you want a color analysis, I would recommend going to Patreon. Our Hue Heroes get first picks of open time slots, and then we will move it to color enthusiasts. So if you would like to have a color analysis done by us, hop on over there. And I think we hit everything.
Yeah.
All right, we won't keep you here any longer. Lastly, I'm Sarah.
I'm Lucinda.
This has been another color class, and we'll see you in our next video.